Welcome to Global Education webinar powered by Global Finance Board.
Hey guys, I'm Michael, as I said, from Germany. I'm currently MCVP Finance and Legal of AIESEC in Germany. I'm 26 and I studied, also graduated my master's, financial and supply chain management. Tricky topic, because you need to be really aware of what the legal conditions are like in your entity. So, for example, the legal reality of Germany is completely different, or rather different, from the legal reality of Moldova or of Lithuania, and this is what it makes your unique responsibility as CFO of your entity to ensure that you are operating on legal basis in your entity. Because legality is like the roots, the fundament of your entity. So what you want to do is as much exchange as possible to reach every young person in the world in order to fulfill our vision. But below that, there are many structures, many interfaces, intercourses. They are super important to actually ensure that we can do what we can do best, and this is exchange. One part is the organizational structure based on OD. Then below that, we're having financial models for distributing the financial resources we're having, and making sure that money is at the right places at the right moment. But below that, and this is the root where everything is based on, is really legality, because we're just able to run our entities if we're 100% legally involved, or 100% we can make 100% sure that all the operations we're doing and the way our entity is located is running on a completely 100% legal side. Because not without being really legal in our country, we're not able to do so, because then the government will most rather just shuts us down, and we're not able to fulfill our mission here in this territorial country anymore. And being legal, or legality, is also a big point of showing integrity. So one of our AIESEC values, as showing integrity, we need to ensure when we want to send intern support, EP support, we always want to ensure that this always happens on a 100% legal side, because we don't want to have our customers sent somewhere, or being in an environment where the contracts and everything around them is not legal. And therefore also we need to be 100% legal as an organization, or every single organization, every single entity needs to be 100% legal. You can divide this in kind of 3 topics, or 3 points which are stated here. So we need to operate and behave according to our national law. This is where what I said is rather tricky, because as I said, German law is, I guess, completely different to your local realities, or at least in some points. Then we need to operate and behave according to the global and national compendium. So internal rules, either you based on your national reality, or then the global one. So with the global compendium in there, this law needs also be fulfilled by every single entity we are having, disregardless the size, disregardless of national law. These internal laws need to be fulfilled by every entity, and ensuring that we have kind of legal devices to protect our entities and the brand. So when it comes to legality, there's a lot of in German we call it half knowledge. So knowledge where you're not 100% sure, but it kind of going to be established. You just know something for half. And this needs to be considered or needs to be avoided by having like a professional external legal advice to protect us from this like misknowledge and by therefore misoperating in our operations and mistreating our legality. In the following slides, we separated this now in 3 parts. This is like AIESEC entity. So what we as AIESEC have 4 internal rules based on our vision, based on our values. So rules that are not necessarily like done by the government, but we say for ourselves that we want to apply to those rules. For example, the use of tobacco and stuff like this. The other part is like operations. So how are we running our operations on legal level? How we can ensure that our operations are run 100% on a legal level. And the third part is country compliance. So rules by the government we have to stick to. This is something I guess most of you know. I hope most of you know. These are the finance standards, because the parts up here seem to be like super like overwhelming or confusing, but like having the finance standards and there here the point of legality can help you to get a better overview of like actually where to start, which points need to be fulfilled in order to fulfill the legal standards of an AIESEC entity, to fulfill legal or like to be 100% legal in our operations, and kind of, but not completely, but this will be later, also like to fulfill country compliance rules. The finance standards of point legality will give you here a really good overview, and we will go through them step by step. And if you have questions to one of them, just ask. This is a general overview now of all the points we're having. We're getting into them in more detail now, so just going through them pretty quick at first. Something every entity should have or needs to have is a compendium, a constitution. So something where it's written down what's the objective of your entity, which should be based on our vision, or it needs to be based on our vision, and then constitutional points like how the election process works and so on. Then every MC needs to have a legal representative. This is either the MCP or the MCVP finance usually, but in most cases like the MCP. Then you need to fulfill the global membership criteria to be like a full member of AIESEC. Your entities or like your LCs should fulfill an entity membership criteria, so there should some entity membership criteria be in place where you can decide on if you should open an new LC or like an SU or something, or should close one. Your entity needs to be, now we're getting into the country compliance, legally registered. The tax status needs to be defined, so if you have to pay taxes or not. As an NGO in many countries you don't have to, but I just figured out like 2 weeks ago that, for example, AIESEC in the Netherlands has to pay taxes like that on all their products, which kind of surprised me, because like I thought like this AIESEC doesn't have to pay taxes and don't know. Every country as being an NGO, but they're always wrong, as there's no stitching. Then the trademarks, like AIESEC as a brand and all our products need to be registered. So like if you're a country from the EU, we are like really glad that AI is already taking care of this. If you're not, you need to take care of this for yourself. Then all our products, might be exchange products or BD products and scholarships, need to have contracts, because just if there's a valid written down contract, in case of something like happens during a GEW or something, we are in a position to really like get legal advice on, because without a written contract, no real buy-in has happened, and therefore contracts are super important. And we need to have visa procedures for our MC member, again showing integrity, and also for our EPs, of course. So our EPs should be every single point in their journey be 100% obliged to the legal reality of the country they're currently in. And of course, also, as I said, showing integrity, all our MC members should be, while the time they're working in an entity abroad, should be able to work there 100% legally and not like on some kind of tourist visum or visa or something else. And you know, like legal or like laws can change pretty quick, pretty fast. So it's always important to have a professional legal advice. So someone who helps you, like either if you have a case to fight on, because like there happened something with an EP, for example, or another company or so ever, or who's generally like advising you when the law changes, so that you know how you might need to change your operations. I'll come to this point also in a second. We're going through the single points now in detail. So compendium and constitution. So as I said, every entity needs to have a compendium or a constitution, and it needs to fulfill the external law of your country. It needs to fulfill the AIESEC global compendium, because you're not allowed to do something completely different than as AIESEC as a whole organization. And it needs to be approved by the national plenary. So whoever like how your national plenary consists like, so again, going through the perspective of AIESEC in Germany, our national plenary is the MC plus the LCPs, so not UA or someone else. We approve our compendium every year, so to say, like every change we did in there is like completely approved. It should contain subject and goal of the AIESEC activities, so based on our vision, the election of boards, super important here, the election of the MCP, role of EV definition, so what is the role on local reality, way of managing the finance and legalities, so who is in charge of that and how our finance and legalities are going to be managed, entity membership criteria, so what are the criteria for LCs to be an LC in your entity, and define who would be accountable for finance and legal affairs, so who is the one who is at the end really accountable if something happened in finance and legal affairs. And oh, I see there's a typo. You need to have a legal representative inside the MC. So you need to have an official document which is really saying like, hey, this person is like 100% legally being charged by everything what's happening as an organization. As I said, often this person is the MCP. Nowadays also like the MCP finance or the whole MC board. There's a difference between the person who's like taking care of legality and finances, or like of legalities. This is usually the MCVP finance, but like the person who's like in charge. The person who is in charge is often the MCP. He just gets kind of consulted by the MCP finance. But this is, as I said, completely different from reality to reality. So you need to ensure in the entity you're having this legal representative, and if this is the MCP, at least kind of a legal advisor. Of course, you as then furthermore, entity membership criteria is set for LCs. Then your entity needs to be legally registered. So this means it's not enough to have you as AIESEC an organization, which is like having some constitution, which is like also somehow in contact with AI. You need to be really legally registered in your entity. For example, AIESEC in Germany, we always call it AIESEC in Germany, for example. I was taking AIESEC Germany as an example because I'm from this entity. But like officially, we are called Deutsches Komitee der AIESEC e.V., so like German Committee of the AIESEC Association. This is our official name. This is based on our legal registration, because we are legally registered as a non-for-profit organization, and therefore we were not able just to call ourselves AIESEC in Germany. We had this like fancy official name we have to put on every document when it comes to official and legal affairs. And as I already said, AIESEC as a brand and the products need to be registered, need to be trademark registered. Also, as already said, if you're a country part of the EU, due to being currently AIESEC International being located in Rotterdam, AI already took care of all the trademark registration. So when you have been asked for your trademark registration, you just need to get the proof from AI. They can provide you with this. At least I got provided with this like last time, to say, hey, all our products and AIESEC as a brand is registered. If you're not part of the EU, you have to take care of this by yourself. There you should ask like predecessors who can support you in this registration, because it already should have happened. And your tax status needs to be defined, because as us being in many countries an NGO, we don't have to pay, we have to pay less, or in some realities even no taxes. Again, my example, the guys in Germany doesn't have to pay any VAT, so it doesn't have to pay any turnover taxes due to us being an NGO. We just have to pay taxes on some projects which are not 100% part of our vision. There, then the government says, hey guys, you have to pay like 7% of taxes. Besides that, we don't have to pay any tax at all. But we have to prove our tax status every year, and have to prove every year that what we are doing is like something that's contributing to the overall society. And then the government says, okay, that's cool. Because of that, you don't have to pay any taxes. Another really important point, which many entities like unfortunately not taking care of, is exchange contracts. So you must have contracts be signed for every product you're having. So for OP side, for GT, for GV, and for GE, but also for the EP side. So also when an EP comes and wants to go abroad, there's absolutely no problem. We would love to help you to go abroad with us, but you first have to sign this contract, either for GT, GV, or GE. So also like both sides, our partners, our enablers, and also like our EPs have to sign a contract where it's clearly stated in what deliverables we as AIESEC bring and what deliverables the EP has to bring, usually paying the EP fee. So subjects should be like of this contract, like the subject of the contract, or what is this contract actually about? Is it just like finding an opportunity for this intern, or like guiding this intern, or like guiding this EP through the whole experience? Because this might in some countries change the way you have to handle your contracts. Then of course the price, the details of the organization and of the EP, so addresses and so on, the date where it has been signed, then the signature from both sides, and it of course needs to be aligned to national, international, and local compendium. So this is something really good a lawyer can check for you, or should check for you. And the same goes also for BD and sponsorship contracts. So all kind of donations, youth speak, sponsorships, everything that like BD or PR are arranging, which is okay, which is like going in hand with money, or with certain services and deliverables like both sides have to fulfill. You need to have a contract in case that there is something happening, that you can really stay on this contract and say what went wrong and what not, and that you can find legal advice in case something went wrong. And the next point is for visas. So like, might it be your seeders, might it be your MC people, might it be your EPs, incoming and outgoing, but we are just focusing on the incoming part. All visa procedures need to be 100% clarified. So if, for example, a seeder comes here, you need to clarify how long he can stay here, on what kind of visa he comes here, and kind of what documents you need to provide the seeder that he's able to come here. For example, if he's coming here on a volunteering visa, stuff is already like getting difficult. But if he's getting here on a free visa, you need, or not on a working visa, you need to get several documents for this, for example, like an invitation letter and so on. And these procedures need to be clarified. Same goes for MC people, especially here, they need to get a working visa here. So this means that all procedures need to be clarified for working visa. So they need to have an invitation letter, the contract needs to be set up. I'm just collecting some points I had to take care of back then. There needs to be a proof that this person is going to have a bank account maybe in your country, and so on, so on, so on. So these are like many points that you need to take care of when bringing MC people to your entity, and also like for seeders and of course for EPs. Because as I said, like it's super necessary that the EP is in every single point of his journey or her journey 100% legal safe, and he doesn't have to be worried about anything because we maybe fuck something up. And the last point is professional legal advice. So as I said, like rules can change pretty fast, and because of that, it's important to have someone who can like update you on relevant legal changes and who also can help you to fight legal cases in case they're happening. So for example, at the end, like an OP taker, a partner is not willing to pay you anymore after you provided him with several EPs. Organizations not willing to pay anymore because of, for example, they said you did not provide them for something. But for example, something that is not written in the contract. There, you need to have a professional legal advisor, a lawyer, who can help you to fight this case and still insist on getting the money from this company, from this organization, from this enabler. And also someone who is like, especially like with this non-for-profit status, there are many duties many entities are having, and it's pretty easy to lose overview of like what are actually like the duties you are having due to governmental rules. So someone who's giving here you like a good overview what you can do as an NGO and what not. So for example, again, as in Germany, I'm sorry, we're having to do like many, we have to stick to many small rules in order not to lose our non-for-profit status. And here a lawyer like helps us a lot to clarify what we're actually allowed to do and what not. So far, this has been like the finance standard criteria to the subject of legality. Are there any questions from your side? Professional legal advice means only lawyer, and it does not mean only lawyer. I will come to this also later. It can actually like also like an alumni who is like now in the field of law. Because if you, for example, have an vision commissioner with person responsible for finance legal, yeah, this is also like absolutely fine. So like legal advice might be lawyer, might be someone from your BUA, for example, who can support you with this. Might also be something like as you just stated, or something like who's taking care of your taxes and so on, tax law. So it's just important that you have an external approaching person if you're not 100% sure about your how about you need to apply to your national law. But this doesn't need to be necessarily a lawyer, but also can someone of your BUA or what you just stated. But if this person is not a lawyer actually, but just experienced AIESEC who has entry finance and legal and MCP later, is still fine. It's fine of like giving you like external advices, definitely. This is now also coming like to different realities. In Germany, I guess it would not be fine because like we need to have a real lawyer who's like fighting our cases for us. If, for example, an OP taker doesn't want to pay, but like for like legal advice, it's just like giving advice how you guys should act in certain things, and it's absolutely fine. We're here actually doing the same. So it's just important you have someone who can give you advice. But like when you have to fight some cases in front of the court, for example, there you should get a professional lawyer. Cool. As I said before, like you can divide the points I just said in like 3 parts based on AIESEC entity. So internal rules we're having as AIESEC, things we have to take care of in our operations, which is our core business, and country compliance we have to consider as we are part in this country or part of this country, and also have to apply these rules. Here, like to those 3 points, some visualizations, how we should take care of the single part. So super basic is of course the compendium first. So you need to have a compendium which is based on the vision to then build everything up on it. Then you need to have a membership criteria, and the membership criteria needs to be fulfilled. Then you should have your internal membership criteria. You need to have the legal representative, and then you need to ensure that when you get foreign MC members, that like all the visa procedures are ensured. And then you need to constantly like review it, because as I said, laws will change from time to time. Operational legalities is actually a lot about contracts. So first of all, you really need to have or should have contracts with your EPs and with your OPs to really ensure that everything we operate is like noted down somewhere. So you can really say, hey, you signed this contract, you accepted these and these conditions, so now please act upon them. Because in some cases we act upon them, but the other side doesn't. So we have this document of proof that we fulfilled our job and that he accepted to also do his part of it. Same goes for BD and sponsorship contracts. And then, of course, for GT, but also in some countries for GV and for GE, the legal processes, the visa processes need to be defined. And when it comes to contracts, a professional or outside legal advice is always good. So having a lawyer, or like in your case, someone who is like checking the contract before it's actually like gets sent out to the EPs or gets like approved by the board is like super valuable, or actually should be done. So for example, a lawyer can check a contract again and see if this is like really perfectly fine with your entity's reality law, and maybe also like change some wordings, because you know sometimes when it comes to law or to legality, single words can make a huge difference, and their professional legal advice is super helpful. And then the external legality, as many restrictions you face are simply based on a law of your country and can unfortunately not be generally discussed here, because like my reality in my country is maybe completely different in yours. But there are some points that like are the same in every country actually, and this is like the legal registration. So your organization needs to be somewhere. It might be at the Ministry of Taxation, might be at the Ministry of like organizations and whatsoever, but like your entity needs to be legally registered somewhere. Then you also, with the same step actually, or like the next step, like you need to have your tax status defined, if you have to pay taxes, and if yes, how much, if no, then cool. All our brands need to be saved in your country, so AIESEC as a brand, and all our products, like our exchange product, but also like DeepSpeak forum and so on. I already said, you need to have contracts that really stating the act of those two parties getting to an agreement. And again here, some points are overlapping, but also for this, a professional legal advisor, someone who can support you with setting up all of this, can be super helpful. So often it feels like that your organization might have a different reality in your entity. This is why you need to review it constantly and independently. So it's super important that you have every year, every 2 years, really look at like, okay, what kind of laws changed for my reality, for my entity in my country, and then review it how you might need to change the way your organization is structured or the way you can run your operations. Because like often it feels like really like, okay, I have my own legal reality and no one can really help me to solve it properly. But we can really support you here, like with at least giving you the finance standards as a fundament on what you then can put on the legal restrictions and the national laws you have to apply to on the top of it. But first of all, if you like take care of the points that are stated in the finance standards, it already will help you a lot to be 100% legal in your entity. If you then get someone external or like an ex-AIESECer who can support you with like legal advices, perfect. Then you're like really good prepared to be really 100% legal and to run your operations with full support from the government and with no fear of kind of being shut down or something due to violating the law of your country or law. I just brought you another example. For example, in my term, I figured out, or we from the MC team, we figured out that we're currently like doing a lot of things not due to German law anymore, because like when we set up our whole operation framework and everything is like already like many years ago, and German law has changed in this area quite a lot. So what we did, or what we're currently doing, is we hired, in our case, a professional lawyer who is like specialized on NGOs, and a tax advisor who is also specialized on NGOs, who like currently arranging our organization so that we are fulfilling the standards of a non-for-profit organization in Germany again. So there's many small rules we're currently having. So what they're actually doing is, together with like my NST, my board, and with my board, it's like they're checking all the rules we're currently having internally and checking if they're also like fine with German law. If they're actually the same with German law, we just keep them. And if like our rules are too strict, maybe, because we also have many rules that are more strict than German rule tells us to, we kick those rules out. So that hopefully by not the end of this year, but like by the middle of next year, we kind of cleared out all the unnecessary rules we're having, but also like adapted the current rules we're having to German law now, so that we can ensure that we're really running everything we have on a 100% legal perspective. That is so far like from the input, the content from my side. We have a small like action space now. But first of all, I would ask again if you have any questions. This does not seem to be the case. Cool. I posted here in the chat a link to a tool we created, and I would ask you to have a look at this tool. It's all about how to keep AIESEC legal, a short checklist actually, where you can check by yourself if your entity is like currently 100% legal on the finance standard side or not. So what I would ask you to do is take one of those tabs, name them with entity, with your name and then entity, and just fill out the questions we're having there, either with yes or with no, and see how far you're already fulfilling the finance standards of legality. And if there are currently some points you're not fulfilling yet, then just think about potential action steps you could do to make your entity 100%. I would say take yourself like 5 minutes, and if you have questions, just like use the mic here or type it into the chat. Alright, I saw Sandra already filled it out. So your entity, everything is fulfilled besides your entity is not a full member in the global plenary, and already defined action steps. So KDAPs to AI in your plenaries, prepare MC and AIESEC for external audit, and find a better auditor than the one for the previous years. That's already pretty good. Yeah, especially like the search for auditors is sometimes a bit pain in the ass. But definitely worth it to find a really good one who like supports you all like in keeping, at least here in Germany again, like the legal status, and someone who's checking bookkeeping and everything, give you some advice there. Nice. It's like the three of us are here, so that I would like already start wrapping up the space. So not to you the personal question, because you're like the only one who's still here. Do you have any more questions, ideas, anything that's in your mind?
Actually, I have question about like maybe like from your side, like how's it in Germany? Do you have like a compendium and constitution, like kind of two documents for like a compendium internal, external? Because here in Lithuania we have one, and we are planning to, like, it's very old one because there were some problems with registration of the more updated versions. And this year we're also planning to take care of that, but we also want to divide it because there's one document and we want to divide it for two. Because I think some of the things that are in this external compendium are not really relevant for external people.
Mm-hmm.
And how is it in Germany? Do you have like two documents? And is it, because like I will be probably soon starting this whole process, so I don't know, I think I will have to gather some maybe other compendiums and see how is it divided and how to do it here.
Actually we do. So currently we're having kind of, three documents. We're having one compendium, so which is just stating really, it's also rather short, just like 10 pages or something, which is like really stating what is the purpose of AIESEC in Germany, which is like aligned to the global compendium, and then like just basic information about how our entity is structured, who's going to be in the board, how this board is elected, what rights they have, but also what duties. So a general, like, as we said, for externals, an overview of our entity. And then for internal usage, we're having, I would need to look up the English word actually, a motion summary, I would say. So like, where we put in all the motions and all everything we decided on as a board, so to the MC plus the LCPs, on all the internal rules we set for ourselves. So this is really a document which is just for us internally. Usually we like collected all the internal rules we're having. And this is, as I said, just internal usage, because like no one really kind of cares about what internal rules we're having. And then the last point is just about like how our national meetings have to be structured. So like we need to have a chair and someone who's taking care of the legalities of this meeting and so on and so on. So these are like the three documents we're currently having, and one is like, as you already said, just for internal usage. I hope I could help you with this answer. I would send you the document, but fortunately everything is in German, so I don't know if it's like beneficial for you.
Yeah, I know only basic German, so I don't know if I will understand like legal things. But should we have some of these documents in English kind of obligatory? Or, I mean, probably we'll be doing them, I think, in English because our MC is like now very international, so but I think some of them like must be in Lithuanian and then maybe in English. If I don't know, it's gonna be like twice as like not that twice as much work, but like more work to make them, but they're gonna be useful for us at least.
Yeah, that's true. We have to do everything in German, So when it comes then to legislation and so on, we have to translate everything to our foreign, not German-speaking MC members, because we have, due to German law, have to prepare everything in German. English is not allowed. But maybe other entities, as I said, like every entity is a bit different there. They have an English version of it. Maybe you can ask in the global network, someone can provide you with some of theirs.
Okay, thank you. And actually, one more question. Because I'm like kind of, we are here not having like a good financial situation, so we don't have like a professional, like a lawyer or someone like that's why we are only relying on this revision commission so far. And I was thinking, because we still we will be implementing Wave, and Wave has this invoices option. And like, for example, in Germany, could you like, for example, issue invoices in English? Because I was wondering if we can, I mean, we cannot really afford to go to lawyer and ask them this kind of questions if we can do this and that, because that costs a lot. But I was kind of thinking, like, if it's actually possible, like, I mean, EU law is kind of maybe similar in this case, just to have a sensing if it can be forbidden or it's maybe totally fine to have them in English.
So for our invoices, we use German invoices. But I know sometimes for like, especially when it comes to international and so on, we use the same invoice translated into English, and for this is currently absolutely fine. So like our tax advisor never complained about it. So for us it works currently, but there you like would need to check maybe with like the person you stated, like your former MCP, who like or someone like of your alumni board who's now like in the area of law or taxation, can maybe give you their advice. So for us it's currently okay to have it in English and in German. I don't know if it like this everywhere in the EU.
Okay, thank you. I think these are all my questions.
Okay, cool. If anything more, just shoot them. Otherwise, I just have like more slides. So just an overview of like what is like important, also like the final message of this session is like that everything we do like needs to happen on a legal basis, and that laws can change from time to time. Therefore, we need to be up to date in what we do, because this might influence the way we work rather a lot. And then already said, like having a legal advisor, someone from the GEW, alumni who can support it, this is super good. And if you can financially afford it, and also just if it's necessary, because like when like your legal constructs and also like your financial constructs are getting too complicated, then you should think about getting a professional lawyer and to get a professional tax advisor. And this is just in the case if like your entity has reached a certain complexity level where you by yourself will lose the overview and cannot take it. And this is also like now the session. So if you have like any more questions, again, you can use the global education WhatsApp group we created. So when you ever have questions, just put them in there. All the fuzzes, I guess, are in there, so we can support you and help you out with your questions. Also, like if you have any more questions concerning legality, feel free to contact either me or Maria, who will do the session later today. There we can also try to help you some legal points, some legal
Thank you very much. I think so far these are my questions. Just in case, I will use the group. Thank you.
Nice, you're welcome. Then I gotta wish you like a nice day, and if there's something,
have a nice day
feel
too.
free to approach.
Thank you very much for the session.